Hey Denver, Chris Lopez here, and today we are talking about short-term rentals. So we've got a great guest with lots of information and 3 properties and 3 spreadsheets we're going to cover. So my first co-host is Lauren Vallinoni. Lauren, how are you?
Hey, doing good. Excited to be here.
Yes, I am too. I mean, our guest, this property manager, is someone you connected with a few months ago. But backing this up, why did you reach out to him in the first place? What got you excited about looking into short-term rentals?
Yeah, I think once we just kind of saw the numbers on our spreadsheet sheets here, looking at long-term rentals is what most of our clients are doing here in the Denver metro area. And once we connected with Bryan and started getting some numbers on these properties and we saw the returns, we were like, okay, these are the numbers that our clients are going to get excited about. And this is something that we need to get on our podcast as soon as possible and start talking about and going through this analysis.
Yes, and our guest is Bryan Looney with iTrip Vacations Denver. He's a property manager that specializes in short-term rental. He's actually a property manager I got connected with, I think, a couple months ago now as we were just, looking at some different options out there, connected with him. He gave us some phenomenal numbers like, oh, we like you.
Numbers and knowledge.
Yes.
The amount of knowledge that this man has is pretty impressive.
So, Bryan, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you.
I appreciate you driving down the hill and coming down to join us for the day.
Glad to be here.
So, we're going to spice things up and actually jump into some numbers very first thing, and then we'll jump into Bryan's background to all the basics you know about short-term rentals. But this property is one that you had found for a client, Lauren. You had Bryan run some numbers, but set us up on the property.
Yeah. So this is a very unique property that we found. It was in the Highlands on Spear, right whenever this road turns into Irving. And it's a brand new build, 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom home on the front. And on the back of the house, it has a 2-car garage with a additional dwelling apartment, 1 bedroom, one bathroom. So when we first looked at this one was priced at $1.28 million. And I just quickly reached out to Bryan because the client that was interested in this was going to fit their lifestyle. They live and work half-time here in Denver. They have their kids here, and they wanted a property that would fit mostly the wife's lifestyle, which they had very specific finishes that they were looking for. They had a specific area that they were looking for. But at the end of the day, it really just boiled down to the numbers. So when we reached out to Bryan and was able to get a synopsis of projected numbers, plug that in and saw an estimated on, I think Bryan, was being extremely conservative on the revenues of $160,000 annually before management fees being taken out. And so plug that into the spreadsheet and just already saw right off the bat, this is going to be a home run, especially with the 10% down jumbo loan that we have access to.
All right. So $1.28 million purchase price. So 10% down, all in for about $160, 3.75% interest rate. Now getting down to the rental income here. So Bryan, this is where walk us through the rental income on this property.
Sure. Whenever a potential client or one of their realtors call us, we ask for the address, right? Once we have the address, we look at the local market, all right? And from there, we find the occupancy and certain rates by looking at comps. So with this home being located in Spear in the Highlands, it's a fantastic area. That's probably the number 1 destination for Denver itself.
Really?
Yes. So when we looked at the comps, we found the average daily rate to be extremely high. As low, it would be low as $450 and as high as $1,200 a night.
Amazing numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
So what we do is we include those comps with the analysis we'd give the prospective client, so they could see that if I have my home in this condition and I offer those same amenities, I could easily get those rates. Okay.
And it was important too to this client to where this was going to be their primary home. They would be living in the home a good portion of the time. So we also made sure that we looked at the comps based upon the minimum amount of people that they would be comfortable with, because she didn't want it to be a party house. And so Bryan was also able to do a comparison between 8 guests and 12 guests, and he found out there was really no nightly rate change from 8 to 12. So they wouldn't be hurting their listing by capping it at 8 people. And she was going to be okay with, reducing the amount of people and reducing the revenue. But it just turned out that by doing that, it wasn't going to reduce the revenue at all. So it's a very strong area, and the property just led for, great nightly rates.
Agreed.
All right, so we have and we're just using Joe Massey's spreadsheet here. We have in the monthly rental income $10,200 in income. Now, there's some notes here that I need, I guess you, Bryan, or you, Lauren, to interpret for me, because we're guessing about $10,200 a month in rent. Is that gross, or is that after fees?
As after fees. So we'll drill down more into the management fees to be able to get your property producing at the highest vacancy and the highest price. It does come out at, average about a 25% fee. So we took out 25%. And that's also not at full occupancy as well. So he was running it at a lower occupancy rate. So it's kind of double dipping a little bit in the vacancy factor here. We already accounted for vacancy in that number. So really that 3% doesn't even need to be in there. I think
Let's drop that to 0.
I think we had a 3% in there because we were going to also look at renting that ADU.
And so we won't go through all the details on the spreadsheet. I mean, we have our basic assumptions in here: taxes, insurance, some utilities, things like that. And we'll talk a lot more about these details throughout the rest of the podcast with Bryan here. But we want to give you a quick taste of some numbers, because this is a $1.28 million home with an ADU. We don't talk about those as rental properties really at all. But the punchline here is, after revenue and having a professional property manager like Bryan and his company manage everything, take out the fees, we're looking at an annual cash flow around $33,000. Mm-hmm. Cash on cash about 20%, with a cap rate in the about 7.6. So very, very, very strong numbers. And then we'll come through next. We're going to unpack all this while we pick Bryan's brain here, because we have like 2 pages of questions to run through this guy. And so one thing we can do, we're estimating about $10,000 a month in income post fees on here. If this is a long-term rental, you said it'd be about $5,500 a month was the estimate for the front house, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's just gross rents before normal PM fees and everything else.
Correct.
So we're talking almost, about double the revenue.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
So just some phenomenal numbers. But kind of looping back around on here, because obviously people already tell Bryan, we're 5 months of the podcast. You know a lot. You're very much plugged in. Give us a quick background about you and your model. Like, how'd you get into this, and what's your model like?
Okay. So I ended a 30-year career in manufacturing. Okay. I was part of a couple private equity teams that would purchase companies, and I'd move my family to wherever it was, stay for 3 to 5 years, and then we'd move to the next town. Okay. I'd moved my wife 5 times and my kids 3. Okay?
Wow.
So it was time to set some roots. So I looked to buy a franchise because I wanted to look at quick startup, legacy marketing label, and then support. Okay. And iTrip came out to be number 1. Okay. And also, it's a reverse cash flow business. They have to pay you in advance, so it's actually pretty safe. To be quite frank, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So so actually, when I purchased it, it was in September of 18, and that was when the city of Denver came down with some of the toughest regulations in the country. Okay. So we're based in Nashville. There's 75 of us. I called Nashville and I said, why did you sell me this? Okay. And they basically, what do you want? I said, okay, I'll take Clear Creek County. So then we have a second franchise. Okay. So now so basically our area is Denver County, Jefferson County, Clear Creek County, Gilpin County. Okay. And we also use the term fish hook in this industry, where you go outside your territory and you grab a house called fish hook. You fish hook it. We fish hook in Boulder. Okay. So we're basically everywhere. All right. So what our model is, okay, there's 2 things. So what iTrip is really is an IT company, all right, that deals with algorithms and getting the property on the front page of the websites that we deal with. All right. So we have 9 platforms, and we load the properties on those 9 platforms, and then they spider out to 100 websites. All right. And those websites, are just not U.S. And I coach my clients like we're not marketing to Chip and Dorothy in Littleton. We're marketing to Sydney, people in Miami, people in Dubai, people in London, and you want them to come to your home in Colorado because it's a beautiful home. It's right in a great place to stay, and also they pay. Okay, they don't negotiate cleaning fees, right? They actually just click and confirm. Okay,
Yep.
And that's what you want. All right, so that's what our marketing does. All right. For our operations, and I came from manufacturing operations, I realized I had such a large market. I actually divided it into sub-markets. And each sub-market has two things that are very important to any short-term rental. It's cleaners and handymen. So what I set up pods, all right? And the pod is made up of a handyman and with like 1 to 3 cleaners, okay? Each cleaner is assigned 3 homes, all right? No more than 3 homes. And we pay them $30 an hour. Okay, and that's a high rate, but it's also hard work. So right now, May is the beginning of the busy month. It will last all the way to the beginning of October, and they will work 7 days for some weeks. They will go in at 10 a.m. and go home at 3. Okay, they may clean 1 home or 2 homes. All right, but it's very tiring work. A lot of stairs and it's a lot of physical labor. That's why we pay them so high, and that's why we limit them to 3 homes. All right, we don't want them to get burnt out. All right. When we first started this business, our turnover rate was probably 10%, just because it was so hard and we were learning what's going on. Our turnover rate is now, our retention rate was 10%. Okay. Oh. Now our retention rate is like 90%.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So you flip-flopped it.
Yeah. We have a great team. And I told them they're not going anywhere. Okay. So, whatever they need, if they need time, whatever. And then we have flexibility. So we can pull people from one pod to another, to cover if someone has a family issue or vacation or whatever, right? We take care of them. Okay. That's what you need. That's what you need. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The people. So they're really good people. Our handymen are fantastic. But with this market right now with contractors, right? We pay our handymen $50 an hour, which is great money because there's always work. A second home is always a second thought. So that's whenever we have a home, there's always that something that you have to get done, and they can do it. Okay, and unfortunately, with today's market, the going rate for a good handyman is 95 to 125. So we lose our handymen, but we constantly recruit. Okay, and we use folks that already have a job and they're looking for some part-time money, and this industry fits them perfectly.
So if a handyman's listening to this, they should give you a call, right?
They should absolutely give me a call.
All right. So I didn't know about your operations background, which makes a lot of sense as we've talked, like you can optimize things and just, make everything run well. So let's start off with just define, what is a short-term rental?
A short-term rental is you actually open your home for rent for periods of less than 29 nights. Okay.
So less than 29 nights.
So 29 nights. The IRS actually determines a long-term rental is 30 days or more.
And then, in general terms, we saw this property over here in Spear in the Highlands. Rents are, 2.5 times of what long-term rent, maybe longer with the fees in there.
Yes.
From a high level, why would someone do a short-term rental, and what's a gross rent multiplier for short-term versus long-term?
So there's 3 strong reasons to do it. The revenue is 2 to 3 times that of long-term.
Okay.
All right. The property is maintained at a much higher level because it gets inspected after every stay. The cleaners are taught to look for any kind of damage, look for any kind of messes. They hear the furnace, right? They see the drain backing up in the cellar. That's stuff that a long-term renter may not pay attention to, all right? The leaky roof, the rattling window, that gets addressed right away, all right? And prior to the next stay, so.
And this is something when you mentioned a while ago in our first conversations, it threw me for a curveball because I always expect, short-term rentals, they're kind of like when I rent a car. I use them, abuse them a little bit more. So I just assume short-term rentals do that. But you're right, since there's, 1 to 3 employees going through there every week, there's just more eyeballs on there to catch that, that little stuff before it becomes big stuff.
Yes.
Which was very surprised to me, but it made sense after you explained it.
Yeah. Yeah, and also we do some things. So we talked about a party house where the client's wife does not want to have a party house. We don't have party houses, okay? We may have someone who may have an occasional party, may slip by us, but there's a couple things that we do. Our booking agreements are very stern on the use of the home, okay? No parties and events without prior permission, all right? And then we screen what they want. So, I had a gentleman saying, I'm bringing 9 guys for a bachelor party. And I tell him that this is not a bachelor party place. Okay. Book somewhere else. All right. I'll have a gentleman who's in his 60s. My granddaughter is getting married. I want to have a dinner party for 15. That's okay. All right. Just, you have to be cognizant, peripheral vision. All our renters have to be 25 or over, and 2 of our homes, a renter has to be 27. All right. So then you have a higher maturity rate than someone who's just coming out of school.
And he can set those rules
Yes.
with an Airbnb?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We place, and then in the booking agreement too, we also talk about any kind of damage. We have insurance. I am self-insured, and I cover any kind of accidental damage in the home up to $1,500. Okay. But accidental is never a hole in a wall. Accidental is never a broken TV, a broken microwave. An accidental is a shade being pulled down and it comes off its spindle. That's an accident, right? So we pay for that. The guest pays for the broken TV, the broken microwave, and the hole in the wall, okay? And we go after them for that, all right? And we can go through Airbnb Resolution Center, or with other sites, we have their credit card information and we talk to them about it and we show them the pictures and we show them the validation and then we charge them, okay?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So what are the best types of properties for Airbnb? Because I think everyone listens, all 3 of us, we stayed in Airbnbs. Most of our listeners have stayed in Airbnbs, variety, but what's the best type of property for people to stay in? For people to invest in?
If you were buying in Denver proper, in Denver County, I would purchase a home that has the ability to have an ADU, all right, an accessory dwelling unit. And that accessory dwelling unit could be a revenue stream that would fund your entire property and still give you income. All right. So if you're somebody who has a budget of $600,000 and they're finding a stretch in this market and they're looking at something at $700,000 or $800,000, they should contact us and we could run the numbers and do a pro forma for them to see what their revenue stream would be and see if they could actually purchase that higher priced home, okay, with an ADU. All right.
What about for other parts of the metro area? Because I think we all know Denver has fairly strict short-term rental laws. Has to be your primary residence. That's Denver County.
That's Denver County.
Yeah, but what about the other counties? What opportunities or rules are there out there?
So most of the areas are open, okay, for short-term rentals. They'll have some sort of guidelines or rules to follow, but most of it is not like Denver, all right? So if you have a place in Jefferson County right now is rewriting their short-term rental rules. They are not following the existing rules. And those existing rules have to do with well size and acreage size and such like that. They're not following that. So right now, Jefferson County is open, okay? And in fact, in a October 2019 county meeting, it was stated by the county commissioners, we are not following any established short-term rental rules right now. We are rewriting them, okay? And they are going to be pro short-term rental, okay? People,
that's what I was going to ask.
Yeah, people are not going to be hindered to make income, okay? But it will be, you'll have to have a permit. They want to see a business license. They want to track the tax. They want to track the revenue. They want to see that people have the correct safety in their home. Carbon monoxide detectors are extremely important.
That's all very, very reasonable.
All that stuff. Yeah, it's very reasonable. Yeah, so that's what Jeffco's going to do. Clear Creek County already has it. All right, those rules are already stated, and they have one of the best processes that I've ever seen. They have 3 people dedicated to this process. They have a treasurer, they have an administrator, and they have a full-time inspector who does nothing but goes around inspecting the 2,000 short-term rentals in Clear Creek County.
There's that many short-term rentals in Clear Creek?
Yes, yeah. Wow. Clear Creek's a great place to stay. It is considered the lower price alternative to Summit County. So if you want to ski in Summit, you could stay in Georgetown and Idaho Springs for half the price.
How are the locals feeling about that?
It's a dramatic change, and it's just not short-term rentals itself, just the entire real estate industry, where the home they've grown up in and they bought in the early '80s for $70,000 is now worth $600. So it's a bit of a culture shock. Okay, the cities, there's Idaho Springs. The city administration and the mayor, they're trying to get their hands around it. Okay, they're trying to put in correct rules to keep the culture of the home intact, but also capture the ongoing economy. All right, and this open economy is unstoppable. You can't stop it. All right, there's always going to be someone who's going to try to find a way. That's the way the economy works.
So in terms of their like locations, I mean, we talked Denver, Jeffco, Clear Creek.
Gilpin. Gilpin's a fantastic area too.
Okay.
Gilpin.
Why?
It's really outdoorsy. It's easy to get to. You know, it's not hours away like like Vail is to get to the airport. Blackhawk is a big draw, the casinos in Central City. You also have Netherland, and the great parks. It's a 12-month market. So the foothills are a 12-month market. The summer is the peak, but you're going to get demand in the fall for foliage, hiking, hunting, cycling. In the winter, you're going to get the skiing at Eldora or Loveland. All right, there's plenty to do in the foothills, and that's why the properties are so strong. And plus, if you look at the buy price of Summit County versus Clear Creek and Gilpin, you get more value.
I mean, what's the rough difference? I just like, is there like a? Because I know the areas, but I don't know the markets up there. Like, what's the difference in price? Is there like a rent to price ratio, generally speaking, or do you know that for like Summit versus Clear Creek?
I have a number of homes in Idaho Springs, and you could buy a home for, say, $350,000 in up near the glacier at St. Mary's Glacier, and your gross revenue would be $60,000. Okay.
Wow.
All right. So here kind of comes next thing. Great revenue, but I mean, one of the differences and why I've personally never looked at short-term rentals is just because it's a hospitality business.
Yes.
I have no desire to be in the hospitality business. I like long-term rentals because they are simple. Property manager handles them, and I spend less than 10 minutes a month communicating with the property manager. I write a check here and there, but it's very, very minimal headache, very minimal time. Operation time and operation expenses are a lot higher in short-term rentals. What's that look like?
So, running a short-term rental is a full-time job. All right. I would behoove anyone on this podcast who's listening. If you were going to have a short-term rental, you want to hire a professional property manager. Your rates are looked at constantly, and they're higher than the average. All right. All our homes have an average daily rate that's higher than the rest.
Yeah.
Okay?
I remember you mentioned that when we were looking at Alexi's property in Arvada, that was a big thing that you pointed out was majority of these homes for comps, they were rented extremely low, and you could tell that those were not managed.
They were self-managed.
They were self-managed.
Self-managed. For what Lauren just was mentioned, we were looking at a home on 53rd Street in Arvada, and I had an average daily rate of over 200, and a lot of the comps were down in the mid 150s, and they were leaving money on the table because they didn't know the market. All right, they didn't know that it should be above 200. All right, they're not studying it. They're not looking at. We use a service called AirDNA, which is a data gathering for the entire industry. They're global. They used to be actually based in Denver. Now they're based in Barcelona. But
their headquarters are here?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
They used to be.
Okay.
Yeah, they're in Barcelona now. They still have infrastructure here, but not their leadership's in Barcelona. And they look at the whole industry globally. And when we do a pro forma or some analysis for our potential clients, we use that, and we use that to look at occupancy numbers, but also they provide an interactive map. So we look at the address of the home that a client could buy, and we could see around the home what short-term rentals are there, and you cursor over with your pin, and it actually pops it up if it's listed on VRBO or Airbnb, and that's how we find our comps. Yeah, we don't use just to preface that too. We do not use AirDNA's financials. Their average daily rate is woefully low. So what we do is we look at the comps. All right, and we look at the amenities of the comps and the average daily rate that the comp is stating to book, and we use that to determine our numbers. We don't use AirDNAs.
Yeah, that's what we've consistently heard.
Yeah,
is that the numbers are
low,
are very, very low.
Yeah, and also Airbnb too. So Airbnb offers they offer a rate program for you to follow, but what they're truly looking for is transactions. They want bookings, okay? And they want bookings in May, but they want people booking in October. So what we look at a 6 to 8 week window for our rates, okay? So today we're in June. We really don't care about September, okay? But if someone books in September right now, they're going to pay a premium rate, right? Because we check them up. So
you're saying, so you're looking forward to the next 2 months or so. And beyond that, you're not to worry, but hey, you have it defaulted to a higher premium price. So if someone books it, they are paying a premium. And if it happens out, great. If not, as it comes in that 2-month window, you then price adjust.
We price adjust. It could be sold out and we hit it right, or we'll make a note. We'll actually go into the we have a dynamic pricing model, and we'll actually go into that module and we'll actually raise the prices for next September because that September sold out so quickly.
So is this dynamic pricing model, is this I'm curious, how is that a third-party service you're using? Is that in-house? Is that a spreadsheet? Like, what is that?
That is iTrip. iTrip.
That's their technology.
Yeah, proprietary.
Okay.
So what we do is we set up 3 sets of levels. The first level is the area. So we'll have every price of every short-term rental in the area and occupancy, and we'll track it that way. Then we'll actually set up its own comp set, and it will take the VRBO number, all right, and attach it to our home in our system, and it actually tracks the comps, average daily rates, and occupancy. So we can see if they're getting booked more or if they're getting booked less. We can see if they're charging more or if they're charging less, and we can adjust our price to that local. But to be honest with you, in this market, there are 4 markets nationally that are just way above any other short-term rental market in the country, and that's Northern Florida beaches, it's South Carolina beaches, it's Colorado, and then Gatlinburg, Tennessee. So when I talk to a prospective client, I tell them that there is really no competition because there's more demand than supply. So the DIA, or the Denver Airport, was the #1 destination city in America in January, February, March, April, May, and June of this year. Yes.
Denver Airport was?
Denver Airport. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, I believe you. I just find that hard to believe.
Yeah.
So, like, that's just very surprising to me.
Yeah, people are coming here. They're not staying in hotels. They're staying in Airbnbs, and they book and they sell out. So you actually want to make sure. And I tell my folks that, listen, May's coming. Get some rest. We're going to be very busy. We're priced accordingly to get the bookings, but maximize our clients' opportunity of return. So, with that said, back to why would you hire a property manager? It's just not having the dynamic pricing. It's also having the operations too. Cleaners, just like carpenters and just like anybody else in this area, are in high demand. And we actually took all of our cleaning in-house because we could no longer count on the cleaning companies because they were just so busy. All right, they were just so busy. Everything was getting rushed. We could see quality was going down. The cost was high. It wasn't a good relationship. So we actually took our people in-house.
That's really smart. There's nothing worse than going to an Airbnb or a short-term rental and it just being dirty.
Just dirty.
It just sets the tone for the guest right away.
Oh yeah. And you know what? And that's where we become a team too. So we have a head of housekeeping, we have a head of guest services, and anytime we get a complaint, it goes right to them, and then we address it right away. What happened? Okay, and then also with that, we also have a call center. So the homeowner is not getting that call at 1 a.m. Okay, I say 2 a.m., but I got a call last night at 1 a.m. So I got called at 1 a.m.
It went to your phone, huh?
It went to my phone. It was the guest staying in one of our homes in Wheat Ridge, and the carbon monoxide detector went off.
Oh.
So yeah, open up all the windows. Let's put you in a hotel and all that stuff. We did everything right, and then I called at 8 a.m. I called the fire department, and they basically told me what some steps to do, and I went out there and did it, and it turned out to be a false alarm.
Well, that's always good news.
They're back in.
Have a real
and I talked to the father, and he has little kids. So what I did is I put new carbon monoxide detectors around the house. So they were just purchased today, Home Depot. They're fresh. If they go off, then we have a problem. I don't think they're going to go off. The fire department doesn't think it's going to go off. So I think it's pretty good. So he felt comfortable. So
I want to loop back around because a few minutes ago, you guys mentioned this house in Nevada. It's a client you're working with, Lauren. Mm-hmm. Let's walk through because it's an interesting property, and plus it's very interesting how like a professionally managed property, using like a dynamic pricing model and really knowing what the market's doing versus self-managed mom and pop Airbnbs. Like you said, there was a difference of like $1,600 a night a lot of times.
Yes.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to leave on the table.
It's a lot of money, especially when you're in a market where every home is 80% plus occupied. So if you it's an enormous amount of money. So it's back to our process. So we actually, where we market on 9 platforms, spiders out to 100 websites, it's all about exposure. Okay. So 60% of our bookings come from Airbnb. All right. 40% come from the other sites. And I've met a lot of people that said we only listed on Airbnb. And Airbnb, as far as it becoming user friendly, is number one. I mean, because you can use their back office to take care of all the transactions, and they can be a credit card processor, and they have great reporting, so you can do your taxes really easily. But only 60% of the market uses it. You want to capture that 40%. So with a property manager, we have one calendar, and we have 100 websites that report to that one calendar.
It's all synced to the same calendar?
All synced to the same calendar, okay? And then at the end of the year, we would then provide the owners with an accurate 1099 for them to do their taxes, okay?
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
So, Lauren, about this house in Nevada, give us a rundown, because this is a house hack. Mm-hmm. Beyond that, what are the details?
Yeah, so this is in Arvada, very close to Old Town Arvada, walkable for sure. It is I want to say it's a 4-bedroom, 2.5 bathroom. And it's clean, ready to go. It's updated. It's in a desirable area. Our client is a very, creative first-time investor, very open-minded, very numbers-oriented. Yeah. So once we kind of started peeling back the onion on short-term rentals, we, exposed him to this idea. Of course, connected him with Bryan. Bryan spent, a good amount of time with him, just running through the model, running through the pros and cons, and obviously, showing him the projections of numbers on this property. So, I mean, it's pretty much turnkey ready, wouldn't you say? I mean, there's... Yes. What's cool about this property as well is that it is has a walkout basement. So if the property owner, if he wanted to, while he was living there, just Airbnb the top property or the top unit, and then live downstairs, he could do that comfortably. The living room is quite big downstairs, so he wants to put up a wall to make an additional bedroom, to maybe have an additional roommate in there while he's living down there. And there's quite a bit of unfinished square footage down there that already has a utility sink to pretty much build out an additional kitchen. So he's looking at Airbnb the top, having a roommate downstairs with him for the first year. And then because of the Arvada short-term rental rules, he would be able to go out and buy another primary home and keep the Arvada house in short-term rental, the whole entire property as a whole. And so that's, I think, how we ran this property analysis. We ran it as if he's renting out the whole entire property, not while he's actually living there.
So house hack, buying for 3 to 5% down, $600,000 purchase price, standard closing costs, all that stuff.
Yeah, he's actually using the Bank of America grant program. So
getting a good...
Yeah, $17,500 worth of free money with an extremely low interest rate with no property mortgage insurance through the grant program.
So coming out to rent here, the Airbnb, after 1 year, he moves out, converts it to a full-time Airbnb, which Arvada allows up to 3 investment properties per owner.
Correct.
Right, Brian?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So this can be one of 3 or whatever. So he fully compliant. In the spreadsheet, we have $4,350 a month. How does that break down, guys?
Yeah, so this one is using the numbers. Let's see what he put in here. It's saying $950 for the basement. Oh, okay. So it's $3,500 plus the $850.
Okay. So that
which
would
I'm
be
still, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if the Airbnb is present, I know you walk this property, we might be able to update it here. What would you call, a monthly average rent for Airbnb on this place?
So with him living in the basement, okay, I did the numbers for him living there.
Okay, let's do that
with
then.
a 3-bedroom. His first year gross would be $67,000.
So $67,000 gross just from Airbnb on the top floor.
On the top floor with him living there. Okay.
Wow.
And that includes, so with Arvada, you're only allowed to rent 240 nights a year. But with the market itself, it really, it's a great rule, but the shoulder season, you have your peak in your shoulder season, and in Denver in the foothills, it's a bell curve. It starts in January, peaks in July and August, and comes back down to December. So between May and September, that's where this homeowner would make the majority of his money.
Okay.
All right. So he would probably rent it for 200 days. All right. Of those 200 days, he'd probably make most of that $67,000. Okay. He would not be in violation of any rules of the city. He can still go out and buy 2 other properties and have 3 investment properties. Okay.
So we need to take 25% out of that gross number.
You got your calculator, Lauren?
I'm working on it. So that'd be 16,750 out of that. So 50,250.
So $50,000, that's gross annually. We'll make that monthly. So about $4,200 a month. So we are not far off. We were $2 off earlier.
Okay, perfect.
So we're going to drop vacancy to 0. So that's incorporated in there. Property managers in there, repairs, maintenance, utilities, taxes, insurance. All that's in there.
Looks perfect.
I'm going to save my insurance question for you after this, Brian. So we're looking at basically $1,000 a month, or about $12,000 a year, while he's living there.
While he's living there. While he's living there.
And plus, if he rents out bedroom basement number 2 for what, $800, $900 a month, that's another. I mean, geez, that's another $10,000 a year there. Holy crap!
Yeah, he would short-term the top floor and long-term the bottom floor. Yeah, that's a great property.
Yeah. Okay. I like these numbers a lot.
Right? Yeah.
I wish this was around when I was young, and if I knew what house hacking back was 15 years ago.
Right?
All right. So this takes me to a question that popped up on here, like insurance. I mean, what are the insurance considerations for Airbnbs or short-term rentals?
So there's three levels of insurance. There's the website. So Airbnb and VRBO and Booking.com will offer some sort of insurance, okay, that we called host insurance. And we've actually had one event in one of our homes that unfortunately a lady stumbled on the stoop and broke her ankle.
Ooh.
Yeah, and she was a LA County sheriff.
Oh.
So she had that impeded her job. So she came after, or she called us. All right, we got in touch with VRBO, where the booking came through. They're backed by a company in New York called Generality for $25,000 personal liability, and that covered her broken ankle. Yeah, very lucky.
So that protected the homeowner.
Protected the homeowner,
and it took care of the tenant/client.
Tenants, yep.
Okay.
And then we offer a insurance policy. We charge the guest $2 a day, and we include it in the rent, so the guest doesn't even know they're buying it. They're just there, and that covers bed bugs.
$2 a day.
$2 a day.
Okay.
Yeah, so if it's a 14-day stay or a 10-day stay, it's $20 to $28. Right? It's totally easy.
Minimal.
Yeah. And it offers $25,000 with personal liability. It offers $100,000 property damage, and then bed bug protection.
Because that was one of the things that, like, I'm for my risk tolerance, I don't care about a few dollars. I don't care if I have to write $1,000 check, whatever. I care about if someone hurts, trips and hurts themselves. I care about number. I feel bad for that person, and I also worry about my liability. Like I worry about the big checks, the $30,000, the $300,000, liability things. Yeah. So you, as a professional property manager, you've got all the layers covered and know how to protect everyone, take care of everyone.
The owner still wants to declare it a short-term rental, and they want to get a short-term rental rider, and then they want to have a.
So this is layer 2.
Layer 3.
Layer 3.
Layer 1 is the website. Layer 2 is iTrip. Layer 3 is the homeowner.
Okay.
And the homeowner wants to declare a short-term rental, have a short-term rental rider, have $1 million umbrella. Okay. Now I also want to.
Sorry. So I know $1 million umbrellas, $200-$300 a year. Mm-hmm. To add a short-term rider, what's the approximate cost of that compared to like a normal homeowners or a long-term rental policy?
It really depends on the agent. So I was about to mention that this type of industry is so unknown in the insurance industry. Even though the insurance industry has accepted that there's such low liability with short-term rentals, adding a rider is minimal cost. You can still walk into your local insurance agent who you've had for 10, 20 years, and they'll think it's, they think they have to sell you a commercial policy. It's not. Okay. You really have to know this, and I would tell all the listeners here or the people watching that it's minimal cost or zero. and everyone should be able to get a rider, everybody. And it really comes down to a knowledgeable insurance person. If they don't have, if their insurance provider now doesn't understand, or they're having trouble with the conversation, they should absolutely call iTrip Denver. Okay. And we have a list of insurance agents that can do it. I'll tell you right now, Farmers agents know what they're doing. Safeco agents know what they're doing. All right, those are the two primary insurance providers in this industry that really have it nailed down.
So
okay?
Farmers and Safeco.
Farmers and Safeco.
Okay, great to know. So I want to jump into, because I know we've got another property to go through here, and this is one that you're managing in Wheat Ridge, and I've heard you mention this a couple times, which I find really interesting, because I think this is one of the ones you've optimized with some of like your insider knowledge. Let's walk through that property.
So it's a 2-bedroom ranch in Wheat Ridge, right off of the intersection of 38th and Kipling. All right. So am I sharing my screen?
We'll see our skills are for talking and clicking at the same time.
So we actually started this home May 10th.
Oh, this is the actual picture of the house?
Yeah.
Oh, this is gorgeous.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I thought that was just a stock image.
No. That's the house. We call it the ranch house in Wheat Ridge. All right.
That's gorgeous.
Yeah. You can see it's right
Oh, so this is on the iTrip website.
This is on my website. Yeah. So people can book here if they want. And
so if people do direct booking, is that just less fees?
That's less fees.
Then just more money.
It'll save you 20%.
Wow.
In your stay if you book direct with us, because the commissions on VRBO and Airbnb fluctuate between 12 and up to 35%.
Okay, so that's significant.
Yeah. So just look at these photos. So this is it's a 2-bedroom ranch. Right?
Okay.
It's on a corner. We put a privacy fence in. Has a sunroom. It fits. We capped it at 4 people, and the owner's a magician, as you can tell. All right.
That's interesting, a 2-bedroom, because we've also heard from other short-term rentals property managers that the bigger properties produce better. So this is a great case study to show how
It is.
Smaller properties can also work really well.
You nailed it. Yeah, as long as it has the right amenities, it's always going to get booked, because this is right off of 70.
Okay.
And that's where the suburbs come in. Like why would someone buy in Lakewood or Littleton or Wheat Ridge, but that 470 loop or that Route 70 corridor, people can go to the mountains one day and the city the next. Or if they just want to stay here, they have a comfortable home. They have big bedrooms. So we actually make sure that there's plenty of towels. People don't run out of soap and paper goods and towels with our homes. You're not gonna save any money by saving on dishwasher pods, right? With this, the house is fully stocked. All right. You really what you want to do is go and get your food. So, you have washer and dryer, and then the hot tub. And that is when I talk to prospective clients, I always say, go get a hot tub.
Yes, I've talked to you like 18 times. I think 17 times you mentioned hot tubs.
And I don't own a hot tub company. I just want to say that.
Maybe you actually should.
But and hot tubs have actually raised their price 70%. That $4,000 hot tub is now $7,000 because of COVID. But even with that buy, you still are going to make your money, because you can raise your average daily rate $25 to $70 a night.
Just because of a hot tub.
Of a hot tub.
Because when we talk long-term rentals, we always say don't get a hot tub for liability reasons.
Right.
Now this is and doesn't make a difference in rental income. But here, that is insane numbers.
Insane numbers.
Does this change the insurance policy, or you're concerned as a PM for liability?
No, it changes our house rules. So we make sure that they know that that they are responsible for the hot tub while they stay there. They are not allowed to touch the electrical inputs into the hot tub.
What about for little kids? If you got a family coming there with little kids, does that change anything for you? Because we were talking about this before we started recording. I've got a 2 and 4-year-old, and I'm terrified of having a hot tub in my house in the off chance that they drown. But we stayed at Airbnb 2 months ago. We had a hot tub.
Right.
So I'm curious from your perspective, from a liability perspective, does that change anything for you in terms of insurance or communicating things to tenants?
No, because your insurance already covers that.
Okay.
Your insurance already covers that. But let's look at the calendar. Okay. So we started this property May 10th. All right. Then someone booked it for the 13th.
When you say starting, that's when it went live?
That's when we went live. We uploaded it to our platforms May 10th.
So 4 days later, your first booking.
The first booking. I think this was the first booking was the 21st, and then someone booked it on the 14th. All right. In our systems, you're allowed to book 48 hours before you check in. So we run our credit cards payment through authorize.net, and they need 48 hours to vet the payment. So they literally booked it on the 11th. Okay.
So what is dirty bookings
I was about to ask
Dirty
that.
bookings is actually, we just got to go through and just the cleaners have cleaned it.
Got it.
They have. We just have to go back. It's done.
Okay.
It's done. All right. If we with iTrip, you have the ability to run your payroll process off of this system. So you have someone assigned to it, and then you just hit it's cleaned, and then it goes in, and then we pay them.
So that's more for your internal use, nothing to do with the way that they're booking or categorizing
nothing like that.
In there. Okay.
No. And then the owner stayed one night here, then he stayed 3 nights here. And as I mentioned before, besides the revenue and the upkeep of the home being so much better than long-term renting, the owner gets to use the property. So they can go in, we have an interactive calendar, and they can go in and block dates that they want to use the property.
Oh.
So that's
through their owner portal.
Through the owner portal. Yeah. And you can see that, June is sold out except for 4 nights. All right. July has 3 nights. And then August. All right. And then even September. Okay.
So these people out here in August, they're paying the premium rate.
They're paying the premium rate.
Your 8-week window,
yes,
right?
Yes. And so is September. All right. So you can see that that having that hot tub, they instantaneously got on the front page. The hot tub is the number 1 amenity people want when they come to Denver. Number 1. Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Even in the summertime, huh?
Well, check that. Air conditioning, then a hot tub. All right. So it's air conditioning, then a hot tub. But really, if you look at it, because if they're looking in the suburbs or the city, it's pretty much someone has some sort of cooling method. If it's not central air, they have a window mount. Okay.
So your comment there about a hot tub being the main commodity, I can tell you when my college friends come out, hot tub is not on their mind a lot of times. It's Colorado and legal weed. What's the weed policy when it comes to short-term rentals?
So we don't allow smoking of any kind in our homes. All right, but we do set up smoking areas in our homes on the outside, either the deck or the front yard, and we actually provide the long stem ashtray where they can just stick it in. It goes down.
Smart.
Fire prevention around our homes is very key.
And whether they're smoking a cigarette or smoking a joint,
Yep.
As long as you're following the house rules and being respectful.
That's right. That's right. As long as it it doesn't bother anybody else.
I love it.
That's
Common
fine.
sense.
Yeah. It is. Okay.
So, and you had mentioned, I think it was for this property, you had told me at some point, not on this property brought up the conversation that hot tubs in general, like you always see, what's the average bump you see in renter hot tubs again? Because you said on this property is like $70. Is that
more about 50?
for $50?
25 to 50
that's
on
pretty
this
common across all properties?
Yes. Wow. Yeah, $25 to $70. So we have a beautiful home up in Idaho Springs. We call it Mountain Mama. And this is a
I love these names.
yeah. This is
It's like we need an up our game on naming our properties.
Well, now that we're in the short-term game, for sure.
So yeah, and actually it's slowing down right now because we have a Matterport on it. Any home that's going to garden $400 or more a night, we will do a Matterport so that people can see the
and that's the 3D walkthrough.
Yeah, you got it. Yep.
And going back really quick onto the hot tub, with it increases your nightly rates. Does that also increase your occupancy as well? I mean,
it does.
Is it kind of like So
it does.
Triggers people to select your house over it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But I would definitely think in the mountain properties. Absolutely. I know whenever my friends we're going to be going to a mountain property, going skiing or anything like that, that's absolutely like a must-have for us. We don't always get it, but it's always the conversation. Well, should we just pay the premium to get our own personal hot tub, especially during COVID, because all of the public ones at the hotels and stuff, those were all shut down. So it was.
And you did it.
Yeah, we did it. Yeah, Steamboat, we did it.
You proved his point.
Yeah, exactly. No, for sure. The mountain properties for sure. And that's one of the things though too, that what you do for your clients is you look at the property, the area, and then the competition. You're looking at what kind of amenities they're offering, and you're trying to either match it or beat it as well, which is great.
Yeah. So this is a home we have up in Idaho Springs called Mountain Mama.
That's beautiful.
No, it is. It's a 4-bedroom. All right. So Clear Creek County caps their capacity at 8 people.
Okay.
But if I have a mom calling me and it's just I'm there with my sister and we have 2 little kids, it's going to be 10. We don't mind. Okay. So, but we cap it at 8, and right here, and this is built on the side of a mountain, right off of 103, going south of Idaho Springs, and we're actually going to put a hot tub here. We're going to put an 8-person hot tub here. We're going to build a deck in the mountain. It's going to be a walk up, so people would walk outside the house up the slope, take a left. There'll be a nice platform with some chairs and an 8-person hot tub. And that rate this will add $70 a night to this home.
What's the cost on that?
Right now?
The cost on building the deck and the hot tub.
So that would so it was pretty scary given today's market, but
I guess lumber and
then even composite.
Yeah.
Composite was going to be $14,000 to build a deck, and then lumber was half that, so that was going to come down to $7,000. So we went with lumber.
You did. Okay.
Yeah. So we're doing lumber. And then even the cost of wire, the availability of wire to actually power the hot tub is the big issue, and then you have to pay the guy to trench it, and he's going to trench it from the home up to the hot tub, cover it with dirt. So those are going to be the 3 cost requirements, and then the hot tub itself was $7,900.
I gotta say, Brian, if you ever need someone that does like quality assurance testing for you in these hot tubs, give us a call here.
You got it.
So I know we're running over our time here. I could spend like 2 hours picking your brain, and we're going to do that in future podcasts. We got some cool stuff planned. We've been kind of brainstorming this, and we have scratched the surface. We've kind of peeled back that first layer of the onion here with you here. But we do need to wrap things up here. So I got 2 questions here for you. 1, any final thoughts or wisdom you want to impart with us or our listeners before we wrap up? That's the first question.
I would actually reach out to a short-term rental professional if you're thinking of actually getting into this market. There is a lot of gray area and, quite frankly, disinformation out there of the market, of the opportunity. Can you do it? And really, I've seen people not get involved because they got false information. Let's sit down with me or one of my people or another professional property manager in the area and really find out what you can do. And you're going to find that 90% of the time, you're going to be able to have a short-term rental. And in this market, they're going to be income plus, given even with all the costs of the home. Okay?
All right. Mm-hmm. And on that note, in the section, my second question, how can people get a hold of you to pick your brain, run numbers, explore opopportunities? How can they get a hold of you?
Our website is itrip.net/Denver. And our phone number is 303-835-0729. And my email is bryan@itrip.net. You can contact me anytime.
So email versus a 1 a.m. phone call is probably a better way to get a hold of you, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
All right. Mm-hmm. Brian, this has been phenomenal. I am looking forward to sending more clients your way and looking forward to picking your brain more. Laura and I have talked a lot about this, so we're excited to keep working with you. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Thank you. That was great.